Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is lesson 556. The title of today's lesson is The Difference Between Alone and On One's Own. Okay, somebody wants a screenshot? Do it right now. Let's get right to it. All right, now, alone focuses on the idea that no one is with you. You can do something without others or just simply be present with no one else around. So the focus is really on being alone. On one's own focuses on accomplishing or doing something without the aid or without the help of anyone, especially in an impressive way, like we're surprised that somebody could do it on their own or, by themselves in that sort of sense. So let's continue. All right, now we got a number of examples here. There's a slight bit of crossover, but it really all depends upon what you want to emphasize. If you want to emphasize that somebody is alone or by the not with any other people, and that's the main focus, then alone might be better. But if you want to emphasize that somebody did something or accomplished something without any help from somebody, and that this is somehow special or impressive, then on one's own is better. So let's look at it. Here's the first one. It's better to learn how to do it alone. It is better to learn how to do it on one's own. So here, most of the time, you're probably going to mean with the check. Like you're more impressed that somebody could do it without the help of somebody else. It is better to learn how to do it alone. We probably don't mean that. It's not always better to learn how to do it alone. I don't know if you can think of a good reason why somebody would want to do it alone. But here we would probably say on one's own, so that you know how to do it and that you can accomplish it on your own. And people are impressed. You can do it on your own now. You don't need help from anybody else in that sense. Number two, the lost child survived for 2 days in the forest alone. Okay, now here I have both, because with the check and with the X, because it depends upon what you mean. If you're really trying to emphasize that somehow nobody was with him and you wanted to emphasize that there were no other people around, then alone, you might use alone. But if you're trying to emphasize that the child had the ability to survive, and that he could do this without the aid of others, then on one's own is better. So I think in most cases you'll probably use the check with on one's own. But only in the case that maybe the newspaper wanted to emphasize that there was no one with him, and maybe they want to blame the parents or somebody, I don't know why somebody wasn't with him, then they might use alone more. Okay, that karate expert was able to defeat 6 attackers alone. Probably not. Here on one's own is better, because here we're very impressed that he can do this without the help of others. He can beat 6 guys by himself. So the karate expert was able to defeat 6 athletes on his own. Yes. Okay. Number 2, next one here. He didn't have an alibi because he was home alone all day. Now, in this case, you probably do want alone because you want to emphasize that nobody else was with him. So maybe that was his alibi, actually, but it's not a good alibi. It's not a provable alibi because nobody can confirm it. So he didn't have an alibi because he was home alone. He was home on his own doesn't really quite make sense. No. Here, alone would be the better one. And you would use an X for on his own. All right, let's continue. He went to the movies alone. All right. You might say this. You might say this with a check here, because most of the time, most people don't go to the movies alone. We usually like to go to the movies with a friend or with anybody else. There are a few people that sometimes do go alone, so it does happen. He went to the movies on his own. You wouldn't want to say this unless it was impressive in some way. I don't know, maybe he was blind, but if he's blind, I don't know, most blind people probably don't go to the movies. Unless you just want to listen, maybe they go for that reason. Or maybe he was in a foreign country and it was difficult for him to get there on his own. You might want to stress that. But in most cases, you would probably not use this. In normal case, you just say that somebody went with no other people. So he went to the movies alone. He didn't have company with him. So alone would be better, not on his own. On his own would be used if you wanted to, emphasize that you're impressed that he could do this. So very different feeling. All right, the last one here. That small child went to school alone for the first time. Again, if you want to stress that you're impressed with it, you would use on his own, meaning that you're impressed that, he's old enough now. He doesn't need to have somebody watching over him. He can actually go there on his own. So you would probably want that one. Again, unless you were criticizing somebody for allowing him to go alone, maybe you thought it was too dangerous that he went by himself, then you might use alone. So I hope you can kind of see the difference here. So alone emphasizes just no other people. On one's own emphasizes that you accomplished something, you did something, and usually we're impressed that you could do it, by yourself. So if that's the situation, most of the time you should use on your own or on his own or on her own if somebody is impressed in some way. We're impressed that they accomplished this. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope you got a better feel of when you might use one and when you might use the other. Anyway, thank you for your time. Bye-bye.